So now something else that was very, very, very interesting, and I do have a clip to share on this, but this is about SEALSQ. And a lot of people have been talking about SEALSQ and the ecosystem now. I started talking about them on the show late last year, really after not having a super clear idea of like what they do or what it's about or really anything. Because to me, some of the press releases early on were very strange. They were using terms like, low Earth orbit, Internet of Things, battlefield, or all these different things. And it just felt very far out to me. It felt very abstract. It was too much to process. There was like SpaceX and machine to machine economies and blah, blah, blah. It was so much being thrown at me. And it was like, well, where did they come from? What's going on? So it took me a while. And I think it took the whole community a while to kind of really grapple with what is SEALSQ? What is all this stuff? What does it mean for Hedera? And what it's turned out to be for me is something that we've actually been looking for a long time. A concept that people in this ecosystem talk about a lot is, enterprise takes a long time and you got to be patient and all these different types of things. So SEALSQ is a company that's also, I believe, a subsidiary of WISeKey, which is WISeKey is a massive company. We've talked about them on the show. Everyone's seen the selfie that the CEO of WISeKey did with Elon Musk, all those kinds of things. Big company using Hedera, building on Hedera. And when we look at the kind of mantra that the Hedera ecosystem will kind of repeat, which is like, these things take time. Enterprise moves slow, yada, yada, yada. Just wait until they do their proof of concept or this or that. And this is, I think, what this use case is, right? Because what SEALSQ is all about is leveraging microchips in different devices, in millions and billions of devices around the world. And through leveraging satellites, allow all those devices to connect with each other and do things such as share information or validate whether they're authentic or genuine, or pay each other for different things. And it took a while to kind of like distill that in my mind, because it is pretty crazy, right? Like if you were to say to somebody, like if you were to say to me like last year or 2 years ago in the Hedera ecosystem, like, yeah, we're going to have, satellites launched by SpaceX that are going to enable billions of internet connected devices to pay each other using a token on Hedera that you can buy on Saucer Swap. I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, it sounds nuts. And that's kind of been my attitude. But after kind of seeing this play out, it's like, wow, WISeKey is a pretty, established company that's listed on the NASDAQ. I think they're the second Swiss tech company listed on the NASDAQ. They have already minted an NFT in space. They work with major brands. And the key here is that we're talking about all these connected devices. And it's like, well, the first step to that obviously is like, you have to get your chips into all these devices. That's going to be a huge hurdle. And what really excites me about this use case is, they're already done that part. SEALSQ's chips have been used in hundreds of millions of devices for years and years and years and years. And that's really exciting because it already shows how far along this is. And that to me is what gets me excited about this. And so SEALSQ, obviously lots of stuff going on, different verticals, very enterprise, but we see some of the partners they have, Cisco, Siemens. It's like, okay, very interesting. And recently, the CEO, Carlos, the CEO and founder of WISeSat and SEALSQ, did an interview with the HBAR Bull. It was really good. A couple key insights for me was understanding the problem here is like, there are going to be trillions of devices, right? Trillions of things connected to the internet. And this raises a lot of like privacy and security concerns, right? Like, let's say you've got your security cameras in your home, or a health device, or your doorbell, or your toaster, like who knows, connected to the internet. Well, that obviously raises privacy and security concerns, because it's like, who has access to that? Can someone hack into my cameras? All these different types of things. This is that interconnected mesh, that network that would allow new security measures to be taken, because all of these devices in this connected world leveraging Hedera, all of these billions and trillions of devices would have their own digital identity, or passport or birth certificate on Hedera. So for example, if you wanted to, plug your phone into something, it would be able to look it up and see if that item was safe. It would be able to look it up immutably on Hedera to see. And tracking and tracing all of these devices through these satellites with the throughput of Hedera, you really start to go, okay, this sounds very similar now to a lot of the different things we've been talking about, with DPIN and all these different types of things. So that's fascinating. And they are, SEALSQ is working with SpaceX to launch their satellites into space, because launching satellites now is much more cost effective. Years ago it was $20 million to do it. Now it's, $250,000. So they already have 17 in orbit. And that's what their goal is: get all these devices connected and create the machine to machine economy. And this is where it really resonated for me, which was like, there are billions of people in the world that can participate in the marketplace. There's trillions of devices. And so you really think about that. And some of the examples that Carlos gives is like, on this interview with HBAR Bull, is like, what if your car paid another car for a better parking spot? Or what if your fridge needed a repair and it could purchase that repair? Or other different things like devices being able to pay each other for different things. And you can think of all those different use cases. And then just beyond devices, like what if you have an AI model that needs to leverage a certain data set to train itself, being able to trade that value to get access to that machine to machine, or a system that wants to get data from cameras and authenticate that it's a secure connection and pay for that usage. So all sorts of different things. And specifically, he mentioned, he had met Carlos, the CEO of SEALSQ, mentioned that he did meet with Elon, and Elon is aware of what they're doing, and that it is like, the use case is blockchain in space, which is very, appealing to a lot of people, and made it very clear that they will have a token that will be available to people, investors, right, including you and me, for the SEALSQ token. Yeah, I think it's called like Seal Coin or something. That'll be made available. And he said specifically, Hedera will be very involved in the token launch. So that stuff gets me really excited. And this to me feels like an enterprise use case that aligns with a lot of what we've seen in the ecosystem. And what I'll do real quick is I'll share a video from the HBAR Bull show. This is a fantastic little clip that kind of just paints a future picture of what the pathway for this use case looks like. And again, shout out to HBAR Bull for this, but let's take a look at this clip. This is very, very cool.
But I know that you're also targeting those smart homes, autonomous vehicles, other hardware. Do you have any deals with manufacturers to install these transactional Internet of Things sensors?
Yeah. I mean, we are a listed company, just giving you public information. For instance, Cisco routers, Cisco Wi-Fi routers are already secured by us. So 100 million chips have been installed in Cisco routers. Cisco routers is what you put in the middle of infrastructure, network infrastructure. So everything connects to the router, right? If the router is secured by the chip, then the satellite connection can facilitate the communications of the router. We have companies like Medtronic. Medtronic is an American company that develops medical devices, that assess your health at home. And you send those devices data and collecting from you personally, from your health, to the hospital or to your doctor or to an emergency situation. That those devices are secured by your chips. Or you have Parrot. Parrot is a very famous drone company, one of the leading drones company. They use our chips to secure the drone communication with the control center. So make sure that the drone can only be piloted by one person and no interception can happen there. So we are doing that. And actually we are
So, I mean, that right there is, you know, when you look at those different kind of use cases and those different examples that Carlos was giving, it's like, it's pretty clear that many of those are very similar to some of the other things that we've seen, like from Neuron, for example, or Acor, for example, from the health space, or, you know, all those different types of things. It's very clear that there are very attractive things about Hedera for these industries. And it's pretty clear, again, that identity is huge. Machine-to-machine payments are going to be very interesting to watch unfold. And this is a use case that I have to be honest, I was sleeping on SEALSQ, and no longer. And again, this it's weird because, you know, it's not a community project. Like, this is an enterprise project, and that's pretty cool. So we're going to be keeping up with SEALSQ. I promise.